Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and this week we're going to be doing for our Christmas card project Christmas Cheer Christmas cards. We're going to be doing this stained glass effect, and this is one that I first saw in Melody Lane's group. For the Cricut crafters here, you probably recognize Melody Lane's name. If you don't, you should definitely check her out. She's been gone a little over 2 years now. Or right about 2 years, but she was a huge inspiration, and they're still working on her channel, so you can still catch some of the new stuff if you're interested. But this was one that her sister Holly had done with a flamingo, a square flamingo stained glass image. And most of the time I do not work with square cards, I work with rectangles, and the A2 size in particular. And so I took some of my digital images that I've purchased, which I will link the website below if you're interested in these. Anyway, I took them and decided to redo these and make them into that stained glass layered image that Holly had done with the flamingo, and I thought they turned out really cute. I really like them. I mean, the camera doesn't do them justice. I will say I used photo paper, and then I did spray a sealer over it, because I've noticed sometimes when I use photo paper the dyes tend to scratch the ink off a little bit. So I did spray a sealer over it, which was pretty gnarly smelling, so I had to do that in another room the next time I did it. But what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and do 4 more. And these look really similar, but they're actually from a different digital image set. So I'll link both of those below. They are affiliate links if you're interested in that or not interested in that. That way you know. But I just think these are so cute, and there's a lot more designs in these sets. I just chose 4 because I was printing them out on 8.5 by 11 photo paper, and that way I could get 4 to a sheet. Now, like I said, I'm making the A2 card size. You can certainly make bigger cards if you want, or you can make square ones if you want. I did go ahead and set this up in Design Space to cut out everything, and I'll share that link as well. When I say everything, I'm talking about the matting layers. I didn't cut these with Design Space with the print and cut feature. I could have, I just didn't. I prefer to do that with dies, and I'm using these dies here. I did set it up and try to explain in the file, though, how you can do it. Now, in Holly's original file, which I'll try to link the video for that if you're interested. She used, okay, so let's say she was going to make this one card. She actually printed this image 3 times and then cut out the piece she was going to use, for each layer. What I did was I printed the image 1 time and then cut out my layers behind that, and I'll show you what I mean. That way I didn't have to waste more paper. She is using the print and cut technique, which maybe that is a better way to do it with that. But if you have dies, and I do both, because sometimes sometimes dies are easier, sometimes the Cricut's easier. It just depends on what I'm doing. But for me, I felt like I could get the look I wanted with dies, and not have to use 3 images. Now, I did figure out how to do that in Design Space, and I did set that template in there as well if you want to attempt that. I have not done that yet, so I can't tell you how well it cuts out, but it is part of the file, and there are instructions in the file. So when you do go to cut it, you want to make sure you hide those instructions, so you don't accidentally try to cut or print them. I think I ended up setting them all on cut because it showed up better than the print option, but just in case. This was a couple days ago, so it's hard to say. My memory's not as good. I turned 60 yesterday, guys. 60. And I have to tell you, it doesn't feel a whole lot different than 59. But I'm still kind of happy I made it to 60. So my dad only got to almost 50, and my mom made it to almost 71. So I'm kind of right in the middle there. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Not that that's really how life works, but you know. Anyway, so what we're going to do is I'm going to get my dies out, and we're going to start cutting these out, and I'll show you how I did it. Alright, so from this set of nested dies, I chose the ones that seemed to be closest to what I needed for this particular project. And I've already got them, I left them taped together because this was the last time I used it, so this worked for me. So then basically, you know what, I'm not sure if I trimmed these. I think I might still have them at 4. I do. I have it, no, 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so I did trim them down to the right size. So here's another thing that I think Holly did in hers. I used a black cardstock, and I believe she used a black matting layer that was the same size as the cardstock. I just used black cardstock, and then I'll go in and I'll probably use like a gold embossing powder or something to put a Christmas wish in there. I haven't really decided yet. Or maybe I'll just put one of those inserts in there. But where was I going with that? Oh, okay, so in Design Space, the video or the file I created does have this back piece that's the same size as the front of your A2 card. You do not have to cut that out if you're going to use black or even a dark gray. I'm even tempted to try this with some brighter colors like a bright blue or something. But if you're going to use a different color cardstock and you really want it to have that stained glass look, you might want to go ahead and cut that piece and then just glue it on. So I tried to do as few layers as possible, but that's just me. So I'm going to center this up as best I can, just by eye. I'm not being that particular, although I could use my little T ruler here to see if I can get it a little bit straighter. You do want to be careful dragging your dies across your images if you're using an inkjet printer, because it can scratch that ink. I feel like I want that to come down just a little bit more. And that's part of why I sprayed a sealer on mine. But you don't have to do that. That's just what I did. All right, so I'm going to move this over to the die cutter, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back. So now I'm just going to gently pull this away so I don't like stretch it out of shape or anything. There's our back layer. I did notice that there were a couple times I almost put my layers back together wrong, so you do want to make sure when you start gluing it down that everything's facing in the right direction, because it's easy to kind of get it flipped upside down, or at least it was for me. Let's see here. It's stuck to the tape a little bit. There we go. And the last one. Now my rectangle dies that I had were not the right size for this, so I had to use these stitched ones, but I actually don't mind. I like the way they look. So I need to go in now and cut out my extra matting layers, because you know what, I didn't do that. Those were from the other day. But you can see how those nest together now, and each layer will just cover up, if you center it right, it'll cover up the cut below it, so you won't even notice that you've cut up the same image. All right, so I'm gonna cut out my matting layers and see if I can make that make sense for you. All right, I have taken the time to die cut everything, and cut out my card bases because I needed 4 more of those as well. And I just kind of like to lay everything out so that I don't get lost, which doesn't take much this day and age. And then I just start gluing it down, but you can see how, I think you can see how this overlaps that. So if you do a print and cut, you do have plenty of room. Let's see if I can see. You see it overlaps. You do have plenty of room to just use one print instead of 3 separate prints, but that's all personal preference. If you feel more comfortable doing the 3 in the video, whose name I've suddenly forgotten, Melody Lane's sister. Sorry, sister, I forgot your name. Gosh, now that's going to drive me crazy till I think of it. But anyway, you can do it with 1 image instead of 3 images. So I'm just going to start gluing this together, and I will start with, you know what, I will start with this one, but I'm going to grab first. I'm going to grab a big stamp block so that I can get things to glue down without having to hold them, because I will tell you, this photo paper, it's a little slick on the back, and so it doesn't dry as quickly as normal paper, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as you are aware that it's going to take a little bit longer to dry. So I don't remember which was the top. This is the top. See, that's important if you're going to glue it down to the card. I also want to make sure my card's facing the right direction, because these are too pretty to mess them up. So I just kind of start and just put a little bit of glue on one end. I think my bottle's almost clogged up. There we go. That was the top. So then I just kind of line up the bottom where I think it kind of looks good. And then I let the end with the glue down to dry. Set that on there. Kind of help disperse that glue a little bit. And see, I think I shifted it. I did just a little. Oh, well, I think it'll be okay. So I'm just going to set this block down here on this end. Let me move these out of the way. And then I'm just going to curl this back and add the rest of my glue. Now you could probably use double-sided tape if you wanted to as well. Whatever works for you. So now I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll go on and I'll work on this one next. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put glue on one end. The good thing about this photo paper is it is thin enough and flexible enough that that I can do it this way. I'll just glue that, let that sit for a minute, and I'll do this one. Anyway, it's flexible enough that I can lift that back over and add the glue to the back of it without feeling like I'm damaging it or bending it too much, like permanently creasing it. So this one we're just going to center up. It needs to come up a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. And when I'm using photo paper or something that's been printed on the inkjet in particular, even if it's sealed, I like to flip it over so that I don't scratch the image. So now we'll go back and glue some more on here. Oh no, it didn't dry. Wow. Okay, well that's not a bad thing, especially since I ended up getting it crooked. Try that again. Come down a little bit. Let's see if it'll dry now. or if it already dried. And I still didn't get it quite straight, did I? I'm probably going to have to re-glue that, but that's okay. I'd rather it be straight. Alright, just to hold that in place, we'll move our block over here and just curl that back a little bit. Get some glue down. Now, if I get around to doing the print and cut again, I don't do that very often. I will film that just so you can see if if anybody needs me to. But like I said, I don't normally do the print and cut just because in the past it hasn't always worked that great, at least not for me. I can't get my cuts lined up the way I want them to. And so I did buy a scan and cut just so I could fix that, and I've only used it a couple times. And it was my birthday present for my 59th birthday. So my 60th birthday present was Stampin' Up! Stuff, and honestly, I didn't spend nearly as much on my 60th birthday as I did on my 59th birthday, so I might need to do a little bit more shopping. Alright, so now we can glue this down. That looks pretty good. Or I can go ahead and glue this on here first. Let's do that. Now, I did end up with a bigger border on this piece, which you could certainly trim down if you wanted to, since I cut that by hand. But I don't mind it. I don't mind the way it looks at all. Is that pretty straight? I feel like it's pretty straight. Flip it over, be careful not to move it. There we go. I feel like it needs a little more glue right there. Yeah. Has glue, just maybe didn't have enough. Now, of course, I've got too much. It's wanting to work its way out of there. Alright, so we'll glue this piece down. Make sure I get enough in those corners and on those edges. Gotta go that way, don't we? And can probably come up a little bit. There we go. Get that glue off of there. Flip it carefully and spread that glue out. Aha! Well, I think I still got that middle mat a little crooked, but look how pretty that little Christmas house is. I hope that's not where the witch lives, Hansel and Gretel's witch. But if it is, it sure is pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the other three together, and then we'll come back and show them off. But you can see I could have cut this off just a little bit more off of each side, and it would have probably looked better because it would have equaled these. But I didn't, so it's okay. It's all good. All right, I'm going to pause, and then I'll finish these up. finished gluing them all together, and they are ready to go. And I think they look really pretty. I mean, I'm in love with this card style. It's obvious a little more work, and if you're actually using photo paper, a little more expensive, but I already had the photo paper. I've been saving it for years and needed to use it. So for me, this isn't an added expense, but I do think there's other papers you could use, like brochure paper, which is a little thinner than photo paper, that'll have a nice finish to it too, because I really like the way the photo paper prints out with the inkjet. Any other kind of cardstock, you get kind of that dull look, but with the photo paper, it's just so beautiful. And if you don't want it as glossy, you could use a less glossy, a matte photo paper. Mine are mostly glossy, I think. But I just think those are stunning. So what I could have done, and I just realized, is I could have been using up my other photo squares. But I've got all year to use them up. I'm going to get those off my board over there. But aren't they so cute? And I don't normally like nutcrackers. They're not my thing. But I love this. And there was some really cute Santas in these design sets as well. Snowmen, a lot of like wooded scenes with houses and stuff in them, or just wintry scenic scenes. I mean, there's a lot of different designs in these two image sets that I selected these 8 images from, but there was a lot more than 8 images in them. And these are from Creative Fabrica, and like I said, I'll link them below. But aren't those so pretty? I mean, I just think they're, let me scoot them down a little bit. I just think they're gorgeous. I love them. I would love to get a card like that. So there you go. I'm going to wrap it up. The only thing I need to do to finish is decide how I'm going to finish the inside, and I've decided I will put an insert in here just because that will give somebody the opportunity to write on it if they don't have a white or a gel pen. And then I'll put my label on the back, and these will be ready to go. But I just think those are fabulous. So I hope you guys like them as much as I do. I will link Holly's video below. I'm sorry, Holly, I forgot your name for a second. But her and Alex still make a lot of cards, and they do some really cute creative stuff. So you do want to check out Melody Lane Inspired if you get the chance. But this design, or this idea, definitely came from one of Holly's videos. And I love stained glass. I love the look of it. So I do have a large number of stained glass images that I've collected over the years, or purchased over the years. And I'm glad to finally be able to use them in a way that really showcases them off. I just think they look stunning. So I hope you like it. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, you know, all that jazz, and jazz hands. And we'll see you next time. So we'll add these 8 cards to our Project Christmas Cheer. I don't know what that'll bring us up to, but I'm guessing it's going to be close to 30. And gosh, I just can't get over. I can't stop looking at them. I just think they're so pretty. So anyway, thank y'all so much for joining me again this year with Project Christmas Cheer. And for my Cricut videos, I am trying to do, I'm more of a mixed media kind of crafter. I don't subscribe, and maybe I've said this before, and if I have, I apologize. I don't subscribe to just one product, like just Stampin' Up! Or just Cricut or just anything. I use a lot of different things in my creative endeavors. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do, is use what you have and think outside the box. You know, yes, you can buy a set of stamps and use those, but you don't have to buy or just use stamps. You can definitely embellish in any number of given ways, and I think that you should, because I think the more blingy and sparkly the better. But that's just me. I do want to try to do some simpler designs, because I've seen a few of those lately, and I think they're really nice too. Who was it? Kathy Zilski. I think I'm not saying her last name right, but she just did one yesterday, I think. Very simple black, white, and gold design. Beautiful. And it would look good on a Christmas card too. So I'm going to try some of that stuff as well. I always try to mention my inspiration. Sometimes I forget, or sometimes my inspiration reminder is so old I don't know where I got it. But when I do know, I will tell you, and I will link that artist below. So until next time, this is Georgiana. Thank you again so much for joining me. I really hope you like these. I'd love to hear what you think. I also have a bunch of round ones, so there will be some round either rocker cards or more than likely easel cards in our future, because I've got a lot of those kind of designs as well. So until next time, this is Georgiana. Please stick with me. I would love to hear what you think, and until next time, happy crafting.